What did you do before founding Anthropic?
Yeah, so I was actually originally a biologist. I did my undergrad in physics, my PhD in biophysics, and I wanted to understand biological systems so that I could cure disease. And the thing I noticed about studying biology was its incredible complexity. That for example, if you look at the protein mass spec work that I did, right, trying to find protein biomarkers, it's just really incredible how much complexity there is, right? You have a given protein, it's like, the RNA gets spliced in a whole bunch of different ways depending on where it is in the cell. Then it gets post-translationally modified, phosphorylated, complexed with a whole bunch of other proteins. And I was starting to despair that it was too complicated for humans to understand. And then as I was doing this work on biology, I noticed a lot of the early work around AlexNet, which is one of the first neural nets, like, almost 15 years ago now. And I said, wow, like, AI is actually starting to work. It has some things in common with how the human brain works, but, has the potential to be larger and scale better and learn tasks like biology. Maybe this is ultimately going to be the solution to to solving our problems of biology. So I went to work with Andrew Ng at Baidu. Then I was at Google for a year. Then I joined OpenAI a few months after it started, and was basically led all of research there for several years. But then eventually, myself and a few other of the employees just kind of had our own vision for how we wanted to make AI and what we wanted the company to stand for, and so we went off and founded Anthropic.
How was it? Was it like a fork in how OpenAI was thinking into what Anthropic eventually did?
Yeah, I would say, my conviction and the conviction of my co-founders when we founded Anthropic were two of them. And I think one, we were starting to convince OpenAI of. The other, I didn't feel that we were convincing of. So the first was the conviction in the scaling laws and the idea that, if you scale up models, you give them more data, more compute. Again, there are a few modifications like RL, but not really very much. It's pretty close to pure scaling. You find that, when you do that, you find, incredible increases in performance. And, I was finding that in like 2019 with GPT-2. When we just first saw the first glimmers of the scaling laws. And of course, there were a lot of folks, inside and outside, who didn't believe it at all. And we really made the case to leadership, like, this is important, this is going to be a big deal. And I think they were kind of starting to believe us and ultimately went in that direction. And there was a second, conviction I had, which is, look, if these models are going to be kind of general cognitive agents, like general cognitive tools that match the capability of like the human brain, we better get this right. The economic implications are going to be enormous. The geopolitical implications are going to be enormous. The safety implications are going to be enormous. It's going to transform how the world works. And so we need to do it in the right way. And I think despite a lot of, kind of verbiage about doing it in the right way, I was, for a variety of reasons, just not convinced that at the institution that I was at, that there was a real and serious conviction to do it in the right way. And so my view is always, don't argue with someone else's vision. Don't try to get someone to do things the way you want to. If you have a strong vision and you share that vision with a few other people, you should just go off and do your own thing, and then you're responsible for your own mistakes. You don't have to answer for anyone else's. And maybe your vision works out, maybe it doesn't, but at least it's yours.